Criticism and rumors regarding situation in Tigray baseless. And political parties field candidates as election approaches. Hello and welcome to Addis News Hour with the news. I'm Shifarao Lakal. The Office of the Prime Minister of Ethiopia has issued a statement on the Tigray region rule of law operations. The statement indicates that on November 4, 2020, the federal government of Ethiopia initiated a rule of law operation in the northern part of the country. The deliberate and heinous attack on the North Command of the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, which brutally killed the ultimate guardians of the Constitution, is a crime of high treason under the laws of the land. No individual or entity, nationally or internationally, is above the laws of the land. The government of Ethiopia, the statement said, realizes its duties of upholding the law and protecting the country. The statement said the federal government of Ethiopia is committed to delivering on its constitutionally mandated primary responsibilities of enforcing law and order and will pursue the two objectives to their completion. It said humanitarian agencies can operate in the region with unfettered access and unhindered mobility by simply providing a notification of operations to the Ministry of Peace and at their own risk in region-wide movement. All entities are expected to abide by the laws of the land, and any entity or individual abetting criminality under the guise of provision of aid will be held accountable, it concluded. The Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Ethiopian has called for community-based efforts to address human smuggling. Addressing participants of the National Forum underway to tackle human trafficking and smuggling, Ethiopian stressed the need to wide-ranging participatory action to tackle human smuggling, emphasizing the need to consolidate community-based preventive activities. A public mobilization forum focusing on seeking possible mechanisms to fight human trafficking and smuggling was underway in Addis Ababa in the presence of high-ranking government officials, including Deputy Prime Minister Ethiopian. Now, writers say the current political leaders of the country should learn the value of forgiveness from Ethiopians who took part in the Battle of Adwa. The writers pointed out that the leaders must avoid resentment, adding forgiveness should be the way forward. They urge all Ethiopians to learn from the history in the effort to build a nation together. Emmanuel Jorge presents the story as follows.
The Ethiopian army, which gallantly fought the Italians at Adwa in 1896, taught not only bravery but also sundry other values. Among those values, organizing and leading all Ethiopians in unified psychology coherently is the significant one. Historians approached by ETV said that Ethiopians started mobilizing their army once Italy's treachery at Wuchale was obvious. The collective and complementary leadership of the warlords under the Emperor Minilik II was of paramount importance, they said.
While celebrating the victory of Adwa, we must laud the unity of Ethiopians. We must talk about the nations and nationalities of Ethiopia. The army was composed of Ethiopians from all corners of the country. The victory was achieved because all Ethiopians obeyed to the one declaration to march together. All Ethiopians marched to Adwa regardless of their differences. This unity is great military knowledge.
Adding that the victory of Adwa is the seal of humanity, others said regional warlords must be commended for their psychology during the war.
Ethiopia leaders in the Battle of Adwa were real humans. I mean by human, they well understood the value and honor of being human. They love each other and they do not keep grudges for a long time. There might be conflicts between them before, but they reconcile immediately and forgive each other. They are leaders who know the value of independence and sovereignty of a country and have human nature.
Though today's Ethiopia has a modern government, the leaders should learn wisdoms of leadership and forgiveness from leaders during the time of Adwa victory, she underscored.
Leaders should be as fathers and mothers, and the people should be as sons and daughters. All leaders in different parts of the country need to forgive each other rather than bearing resentment.
Now, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs dismisses allegations by foreign media outlets regarding the situation in Tigray as unfounded. The international community, it said, must refrain from baseless criticism and lend a hand to improve the situation in Tigray. The country also believes the AU-led negotiation over the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam will bring a win-win solution to all. Sintayo Tamrat brings you up to speed.
In his weekly briefing, the ministry's spokesperson Dina Mufti today addressed a range of issues focusing on current local, regional and global affairs, including the humanitarian situation in Tigray and the AU-led negotiation on Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. Speaking on the humanitarian assistance in Tigray, Dina disclosed that a total of 135 international organizations and staff who have applied to assist in the humanitarian aid in the region were granted access.
These conditions were three. One was unfettered access. With regard to the unfettered access, all donors, the media guys, who are of the intention of traveling to Tigray can be there only with giving notifications without any permissions or authorizations. This is one. The second one is with regard to the human rights violations. The Ethiopian government is committed to the human rights issues, and the government is committed to carry out independent investigation of the committed, quote-unquote, committed crimes by whoever does it.
However, the government is still continuing to cover 70% of aid demands despite the unfounded criticism and insignificant support from international bodies, he said.
Despite all the halubalus, despite all the noises made about the relief operations in that part of the country, 70% of the operations that has been, 70% of the relief supplies that have been given to Tigray comes from the government coffer. The donor community has been only offering 30%, and therefore the Deputy Prime Minister has put forward a request as well, a kind request to the donor communities to increase their supplies as well, because we can see that they are showing concerns, and if they have concerns, they have to increase their supplies as well.
Regarding the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, Dina pointed out that the construction of the dam is progressing well. Ethiopia, he told journalists, believes the African Union-led negotiation over the project will bring win-win solution to all.
Regarding the GERD negotiations, as you know, the Congolese have taken up the chairmanship from the African Union, from the AU, from the South Africa leadership. Now they are preparing themselves to resume negotiations, which have been halted for a while, for reasons we don't know. We know that the Congolese have been investigating on what have been taking place, and that they have had a visit to Cairo and Khartoum as well, and hopefully they'll be here as well. And we hope the resumptions, the negotiations, the tripartite negotiation will resume very soon. And we hope we'll come out with amicable solutions to the GERD issues with the downstream countries.
Ambassador Dina also touched on major activities carried out in the economic and citizen-centered diplomacy fields over the past 2 weeks.
Ethiopian ambassador to China Teshome Toga has held discussion with the Director General of Department of African Affairs at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of China. The two sides discussed the bilateral relations, regional and global issues of common concern and interest to both Ethiopia and China. Teshome briefed the Director General on current national and border issues between Ethiopia and Sudan. He also updated the Chinese official on the current status of the tripartite negotiation on the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam among Ethiopia, Sudan, and Egypt. The National Electoral Board of Ethiopia says over 2,000 candidates have been registered representing 15 contesting political parties. This was disclosed when the board discussed with contesting political parties emerging issues while the parties field candidates and promote their platforms. The board reaffirmed commitment to making the upcoming election a truly democratic one. Habtamu Ashagri reports.
As part of the upcoming general election across the country, the National Election Board of Ethiopia has undertaken its fourth consecutive discussion with 49 recognized political parties in a bid to solve identified problems related with candidates' registration activity. The board also evaluated the performance of free call service as well as major way of forward activities over the past weeks. Speaking on the occasion, chairperson of the National Election Board of Ethiopia, Burtukan Mideksa, said only 49 qualified contesting political parties have taken their election symbols to participate in the upcoming general election. According to the schedule set by National Election Board of Ethiopia, some 15 contesting political parties have registered over 2,000 candidates over the past 2 weeks across the country. Burtukan urged contesting political parties to register their candidates based on the schedule set by the board. According to the chairperson, the National Election Board of Ethiopia was committed to solve problems raised by opposition political parties to make the candidates' registration activity effective. Some contesting political parties' representatives on their part requested the board to postpone the deadline of candidate registration.
And finally, a quick reminder of the top stories. Ethiopia dubs criticisms and rumors regarding situation in Tigray baseless. And political parties field candidates as election approaches. And with that, we come to the end of this news edition. Many thanks for watching us. Bye-bye.